A very good morning to our viewers. I'm Shilpa Ratnam and you're watching News Blitz. This is your essential news update of top headlines from across the world. Prime Minister Narendra Modi hosted dinner for outgoing President Ramnath Kovind in New Delhi. The dinner was attended by Union Cabinet Ministers, Chief Ministers of various states, many Padma awardees and several other dignitaries. President-elect Draupadi Murmu also attended the farewell dinner. Mr. Kovind's term ends on Monday. A day after TMC announced that it will abstain from voting in the vice presidential elections, opposition's nominee Margaret Alva reminded the TMC that this is not the time for whataboutery, ego or anger. Alva called Mamata Banerjee the epitome of courage and urged her to stand by the opposition. The LG versus Kejriwal government spat has now escalated into BJP versus AAP face-off after a war of words over LG's recommendation for a CBI probe into the controversial excise policy of the Delhi government. The Delhi unit of the BJP will protest outside Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal's residence today. The rift and confusion within the Karnataka Congress seems to be getting bigger amid the Siddaramaiah versus DK Shivkumar face-off over the CM post. Now Karnataka Congress leader MB Patil has also said that he is ready to be the party's CM face in next year's state elections. The ruling BJP has taken a dig at Congress, saying that at this rate, the grand old party will have many more CM faces than MLAs by the time of elections. 10 days after the unfortunate demise of a 17-year-old girl in Tamil Nadu's Kallakurichi district, the mortal remains of the girl were handed over to the family early this morning. The last rites of the 12th standard student who allegedly died by suicide will be conducted today. Security has been beefed up near her residence and only locals will be allowed to perform and attend the funeral. Days after two killers of Sidhu Moosewala were eliminated in an encounter in Punjab, we now have the inside track of the operation.
This abandoned house in the field, located around 10 kilometers from the Pakistan border, is where the gangsters were holed up. Jagrup Singh Rupa and Manpreet Singh, two men involved in the killing of Sidhu Moosewala, were armed with an AK-47 and pistols. The area was cordoned off and people surrounding the house were told to stay inside.
उस जगह के ऊपर पहुंचने की कोशिश की तो उन्होंने हमारे ऊपर भी फायरिंग की, जो हमारे एक लड़के के टांग में गोली लगी। तो हम वहीं गाड़ियों की ओट लेकर हम वहां पे छिप गए और वहां से हमने फायरिंग शुरू कर दी।
Ambulances reached the spot just minutes before police declared Jagrup Singh dead. But the fighting continued. Finally, after 4 hours, the gun fell silent because the second gangster was also dead.
हम ये नहीं बता सकते, दोनों ने इक्वली फायर किया है। जो हमने लास्ट में देखे थे, दोनों पिस्टल जो हैं मनु के पास पड़े थे।
8 shooters were involved in the murder of Sidhu Moosewala in May, and only one of them is still on the run.
There is now irrefutable proof that gangster Lawrence Bishnoi had plotted Sidhu Moosewala's murder.
A phone call made to Lawrence Bishnoi just minutes after Moosewala's murder exposes the chilling plot. The unknown caller congratulates Bishnoi, who asks if the job is done. And the answer is affirmative. So it's clear that Bishnoi had access to a phone and has been running his gang from inside Tihar jail. Moosewala's murder was plotted by Bishnoi in Tihar and Canada-based gangster Goldie Brar.
Bollywood star Salman Khan met the Mumbai Police Commissioner Vivek Phansalkar. The meeting was regarding seeking a weapons license for the actor's protection. In June, Salman and his father Salim Khan had received a threat letter. The actor was once again on the radar of gangster Lawrence Bishnoi. A big development in the Bengal School Service Commission recruitment scam. The Enforcement Directorate recovered 20 crores in cash from the home of a close aide of Bengal Minister Partha Chatterjee. The money is expected to be the proceeds of a crime in the SSC scam. More than 20 mobile phones have also been recovered from a residence. Meanwhile, TMC General Secretary Kunal Ghosh has clarified that the money recovered by the ED has nothing to do with the party and that those who are named in this investigation should answer the questions themselves. The Enforcement Directorate has issued fresh summons to Congress President Sonia Gandhi. Mrs. Gandhi is likely to appear in front of the ED on July 26th instead of July 25th. The probe relates to alleged financial irregularities in the Congress-promoted Young Indian Private Limited, which owns the National Herald newspaper. The Enforcement Directorate has attached gems, jewellery and bank deposits worth Rs 253 crores of companies linked to fugitive diamond merchant Nirav Modi as part of a money laundering probe. All these movable assets are in Hong Kong. Nirav Modi, who is presently lodged in a UK jail, has lost his extradition plea to India in connection with the $2 billion PNB fraud case. Heavy rains in Uttar Pradesh's Chitrakoot district have wreaked havoc.
Rainwater gushed into this ashram in Chitrakoot, inundating the area within minutes. The water flowed down the stairs of the ashram and looked like a waterfall. Heavy rains have been lashing several parts of Uttar Pradesh, bringing much-needed respite from the heat, but also causing widespread destruction. The Met Department has warned that heavy rains will continue for the next few days, and residents have been advised against stepping out unless absolutely necessary.
A week after the 296-kilometre-long Bundelkhand Expressway was inaugurated by Prime Minister Narendra Modi, potholes have formed at some stretches of the road after heavy rains in Uttar Pradesh. Photos and videos of the rain-battered road have now gone viral. The expressway was built at a cost of Rs 15,000 crore. A boat carrying several TDP leaders capsized in West Godavari.
Former Andhra Chief Minister Chandrababu Naidu and other TDP leaders were surveying the flood-affected areas. While Naidu was travelling in one boat, 6 TDP leaders were in another boat. The second boat suddenly tilted to one side while the leaders were stepping off. All of them fell into the water. But they were immediately given life jackets and rescued by local fishermen. It was a miraculous escape for all of them. After his party leaders were brought to safety, Chandrababu Naidu went on to visit the flood-ravaged villages.
A plea has been registered in the Supreme Court in connection with the national emblem row. The plea says that the design of the new state emblem atop the Central Vista building is in violation of the state emblem of India. The lions portrayed in the new emblem allegedly appear to be ferocious and aggressive, which is contrary to the actual calm lions. Days after the shocking PFI plot against PM Modi, the MHA has now given its nod ahead for the NIA to take over the Fulwari Sharif case. According to sources, NIA is now in the process of registering an FIR in the case. An alleged terror module was recently unearthed by the Bihar police with the arrest of 3 people for their alleged links with extremist organization Popular Front of India and their plans to indulge in anti-Indian activities. In the latest development in the Haryana DSP killing case, the third accused, Jabid alias Billa, was arrested by the police from Bibipur village. The court has sent him to 2-day police remand. The accused is a native of Rajasthan's Alwar. DSP Surendra Singh, who was probing illegal stone mining, was killed on Tuesday when a truck he had signalled to stop ran over him. The 8th suspect has been arrested by the NIA in the Udaipur beheading case. The accused has been identified as 19-year-old Mohammad Javed. NIA claimed that the accused arrested yesterday, Mohammad Javed, had played an important role in the conspiracy of the killing of Kanhaiya Lal by conducting a recce and passing on this information about the presence of the victim at his shop to the main killer accused Riaz prior to the gruesome attack. NIA has declared an reward of Rs 10 lakhs on fugitive Khalistan terrorist Hardeep Singh Nijjar. He is accused of conspiring to kill a Hindu priest in Punjab's Jalandhar. Niggar is the chief of banned pro-Khalistan organization Seeks for Justice. 2 of the accused in the Best Bakery case related to the 2002 Gujarat riots have filed an application before a Mumbai court seeking transfer of the matter to another court as their confidence in the trial court has been shaken. They also urged that activist Teesta Setalvad be investigated for allegedly tutoring witnesses in their case. Our managing editor Zaka Jacob explains why the government has opened opium production and processing to private players. Let's listen in.
India has opened up the highly regulated sector of producing and processing opium to private players. How is this going to help? It might boost domestic production of various alkaloids. The company will process up to 6,000 metric tons of unopened poppy capsules. It's going to produce active pharmaceutical ingredients. Over 5 years, India still imports these active pharmaceutical ingredients, aimed at offsetting a declining area under cultivation of poppy seeds.
Terror hideout bursted in the Doda district of Jammu region. The hideout was busted by the police and army in a joint operation in the Gando forest of Doda. 1 UBGL barrel, 1 UNGL grenade, 1 RPG shell, 25 electronic detonators and 2 UBGL accessories were recovered from the hideout. The J&K administration has issued a circular regarding withdrawal of contribution on account of Har Ghar Tiranga campaign. Students of higher secondary school in South Kashmir's Anantnag were earlier asked to contribute 20 rupees for the campaign. A pilgrim on a bike was injured in a road mishap in Srinagar. No serious injuries were reported. He was later given treatment. The entire action was caught on camera. A CISF sub-inspector presumably killed himself with a service gun inside the Kolkata airport last evening. Pankaj Kumar was found in a pool of blood inside the male staff toilet at the basement of the airport. He had a bullet injury on his head and a service pistol was lying beside his body. The airport police has sent his body for a post-mortem and an investigation has started in this case. A floating solar power plant was commissioned on Friday at Meghadri Gedda Reservoir in Visakhapatnam by the city's civic body. The power plant, started on 12 acres of area, can produce 4.2 million units of power every year. This will also result in a saving of 54,000 tons of coal and reducing emissions by 3,000 tons every year. Maharashtra health officials have observed a rising trend of H1N1 cases. Till July 21st of this year, there have been 142 swine flu infections with 3 deaths in Kolhapur and 2 deaths each from Pune and Thane. Mumbai has registered 43 cases while Pune has 23 swine flu cases. Mumbai so far has registered the maximum number of cases. Delhi has recorded 712 fresh COVID cases with 1 death in the last 24 hours. Positivity rate stands at 4.47%. President Joe Biden's symptoms have improved and his key vital signs including blood pressure remain normal according to his White House physician. Biden has been isolating at the White House and has posted several times on social media about his diagnosis. He said he is feeling good and continuing to perform his presidential duties. Many major protest sites and camps have been raided by Lankan forces in the last 36 hours. Security forces resorted to the use of force against unarmed protesters, hence injuring hundreds. These raids have added fuel to the fire, angering protesters. Hundreds of protesters rushed to the raid sites, leading to fresh clashes between the Lankan forces and agitators. The Indian Air Force conducted a massive exercise in Ladakh in order to give a fitting reply to China. Rafale and Sukhoi 30s were also deployed.
The Indian Air Force recently conducted a massive exercise in Ladakh in order to give a befitting reply to China. Rafales and Sukhoi 30s were involved in the aerial war games. There was intensive night flying as well and enhanced sorties. It will boost the Indian Air Force's capability in tough terrain. China is also holding similar exercises very close to eastern Ladakh. Chinese aircraft flew very close to the friction point in eastern Ladakh.
The U.S. House Select Committee investigating January 6th held its last hearing last month, focusing on what they say was former President Trump's refusal to act during the violent attack on the Capitol. CNN's Karen Kaifa brings us a detailed report.
While previous Hearings have focused on some of former President Trump's behavior in the run-up to the January 6th insurrection at the Capitol. The eighth and final for the summer focused on his behavior during the riot and the day after. Witnesses say they begged President Trump, pleaded with him to say something to stop the violence here at the Capitol, but the panel says the former president chose not to act. 187 minutes, the time between then President Donald Trump telling his supporters to march on the Capitol and when he told them to, quote, go home. That was the focus of the January 6th committee's primetime session on Trump's near silence and inaction.
President Trump did not fail to act. He chose not to act.
The committee laying out the argument that instead of acting, Trump sat in his dining room watching the violent riots on TV.
The mob was accomplishing President Trump's purpose, so of course he didn't intervene.
Ukrainian emergency workers recovered 3 bodies from a school hit by Russian missile strikes. But Russia claims strike killed more than 300 Ukrainian troops who use the school building as a base. Russia's war on Ukraine has dragged on for 3 months, and Kremlin has reiterated its plans to seize territories beyond eastern Ukraine. As Ukraine's First Lady, Olena Zelenska has addressed the U.S. Congress, making an appeal regarding Russian atrocities in Ukraine. CNN's Ivan Watson reports from a steel plant in southern Ukraine where the country's industry is barely holding on.
The ArcelorMittal mining and steel works. The heat being generated from this blast furnace, we can feel it here. It's more than 2,100 degrees Celsius. This is an enormous industrial plant that employs more than 26,000 people, and before the war produced more than 6 million tons of steel a year. But the Ukrainian government accuses Russia of waging a hybrid military and economic war on this country, and it's put this entire plant in jeopardy. This cavernous facility is now largely inactive. In fact, since the Russian invasion, the company has turned off 3 of the factory's blast furnaces.
A passenger train caught fire on a bridge in Boston in the United States.
A train carrying 200 passengers erupted in flames on a bridge over the Mystic River in Massachusetts on the outskirts of Boston. What followed was a frantic bid to evacuate the burning train. While some passengers tried to use the exit doors, others jumped from the window of the train as the cars filled up with smoke.
I'm sorry.
One woman panicked and jumped off the train into the river below. Thankfully, no one was injured. A preliminary investigation revealed that a section of the sheet metal or side panel on the vehicle appeared to have come in contact with a third rail, igniting material below the car.
As the heat wave continues across China, rain showers through the south are expected to slightly cool the weather. More than 30 cities have issued an orange alert, meaning temperatures are expected to reach 98 degrees Fahrenheit. CNN's Selena Wang brings us a detailed report. Take a look.
The heat wave continues across China, but rain showers through the south are expected to slightly cool the weather, but only briefly. More than 30 cities have issued an orange alert, meaning temperatures are expected to reach 98 degrees Fahrenheit. Only one city in Xinjiang issued a red alert, meaning temperatures are expected to reach 104 degrees. Now compare that to last week, when more than 80 cities issued red alerts, with some logging temperatures of more than 110 degrees Fahrenheit. But China's Meteorological Administration says this relief will be short-lived, and they expect the heat to crank up again in southern China tomorrow and then later in the north. Now, this heat wave has been ferocious. According to state media, by mid-July, the heat wave engulfed half the country and impacted more than 900 million people. That is more than 60% of China's population. This is all part of the global trend of more extreme weather driven by climate change. It is not just heat, but also flooding in China.
India beat the West Indies in the first ODI thanks to a combined bowling effort that helped India stop West Indies just 3 runs short of their total in the first ODI of the 3-match series between India and West Indies at Queen's Park Oval, Trinidad. Shikhar Dhawan scored 97 runs and Shubman Gill 64 that helped India post 308 after batting first. Joe Root delivers an emotional farewell speech for Ben Stokes. After a final ODI appearance, the video was shared by England Cricket on Friday ahead of the second ODI between the two sides in Manchester. Root mentioned that Stokes has changed the way ODI cricket is played, adding that his approach has inspired youngsters to take up the sport. Vince McMahon is officially quitting the WWE. He announced that he is retiring and that his company announced that Triple H, aka Paul Levesque, will resume his executive position as EVP Talent Relations. In an official statement, McMahon said that as he approaches 77, he feels that the time has come for him to retire as chairman and CEO of the company. An Italian astronaut joined a Russian cosmonaut in a rare spacewalk. The show of unity comes even as the Russian-Ukrainian war drags on. After Russia's invasion of Ukraine in February, Europe pulled out of its collaboration with Russia on a mission to Mars. Winners of the National Film Awards were announced yesterday. The Best Actor award is shared by Ajay Devgan for Tanhaji and Surya for Surarai Potra. The Best Actress award has gone to Aparna Balamurali, also for Surarai Potra. Surarai Potra has also won the Best Feature Film award, sweeping 5 awards in all.